Greetings, Fright fans, and welcome into the Web Lab. I'm Dr. Gangrene, physician of fright, and you guys are just in time because tonight I've got something fun lined up for you. Tonight we're going to do another Top 5 countdown. This time the countdown is of the top 5 TV movie horror hosts of all time. The TV horror host began in the 1950s when television stations would hire someone, often an employee of the station, weatherman, booth announcer, etc., to host movies on the air. It was a direct offshoot of the old-time radio programs such as Lights Out and Suspense that offered spooky stories introduced by an equally creepy host. This idea became a nationwide phenomenon when the Shock Theater package of films was released to television stations in 1957, consisting of 52 classic horror films from Universal Studios. Along with the films was an instructional booklet urging stations to hire a host, dressed in spooky attire, to introduce these films and to pad the sometimes short movies with entertaining segments. The horror hosts were a huge hit and became local celebrities, even more popular than the movies they were hosting. Ratings soared and the TV horror host became an institution. Now, TV movie horror host is one of those subjects that's highly personal. I mean, everybody's favorite TV movie horror host is the one that they grew up watching, and that's the case for yours truly as well. That's why I've got to give an honorable mention to tonight's top 5 TV movie horror hosts, so I can give a shout out to my man, Sir Cecil Creep. Sir Cecil was my own horror host in Nashville, Tennessee. His show, Creature Feature, ran on the air from 1970 to 1973, and he revived the show for a couple of years in the 1980s on TNN, the Nashville network, although this time around the show was called The Phantom of the Opry. I didn't actually get to watch Creature Feature, his original show. My parents wouldn't let me stay up and see it, but I did catch the promos for it, and I even met him once at a Boy Scout event. I got a patch from the event that reads Sir Cecil's Ghoul Patrol. First thing I did when I began my horror host show was to sew that patch onto my lab coat in tribute to Sir Cecil. Okay, I know it isn't fair to lump two hosts together, but hey, it's my countdown, so I make the rules here. Bob Wilkins hosted Creature Feature in San Francisco from 1971 to 1978. John Stanley then took over the host duties from Bob Wilkins and continued the program until 1984. Both hosts were non-costumed, appearing as themselves to introduce the movies wearing suit and tie. Bob always had a trademark cigar in hand while hosting. Together, the two kept their motto alive: watch horror movies, keep America strong. Bob Wilkins was inducted into the Rondo Award Hall of Fame in 2008. Gilardi hosted Shock Theater in Cleveland, Ohio from 1963 to 1966. While his run on the show wasn't that long, his impact was enormous. Gilardi was a hipster beatnik who appeared in a trademark goatee and mustache. His show was a predecessor to Houlihan and Big Chuck, who took over after he left. Music played an important part on the Gilardi show, and they made an especially good use of Papa Mau Mau. He would blow up models and items sent to him from viewers with fireworks. Boom booms, he called them, live on the air. He had an irreverent air and defiant sensibility that kids immediately latched onto. Gilardi rocked the airways of Cleveland and is still remembered fondly to this day. Vampira hosted The Vampira Show from 1954 to 1955. This will probably be the most controversial pick of this list. I ranked her number 3 because her show was so short-lived and so little of it exists. Just a few minutes of footage surfaced a few years back. She drew inspiration for her character from Morticia Addams of the Addams Family cartoon. Skin-tight, long black dress, and possibly thin waist and long jet black hair and nails were her trademark, and she would open every show with a blood-curdling scream. She is perhaps best remembered nowadays for appearing in the Ed Wood film Plan 9 from Outer Space. Vampira was inducted to the Rondo Award Hall of Fame the very first year, 2002. Elvira is perhaps the most widely recognized horror host alive today. Vampira might have done it first, but Elvira certainly did it bigger. Anytime I need to explain my show to someone unfamiliar with horror hosting, I mention Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Her show, Movie Macabre, was nationally syndicated from 1981 to 1987. She became an international celebrity, appeared in commercials for national products, and was a Halloween icon throughout the 80s and all the way up into today. It's not unusual to see Elvira's at any Halloween get-together. A series of movie macabre episodes were released on home video in the late 80s, and she revived her show in 2010. Zachary the Cool Ghoul was the host of Shock Theater, Zachary at Large, and Chiller Theater. Zachary is the epitome of a TV horror host. If you looked up the item in an encyclopedia, if such a thing existed any longer, Zachary's picture will be the one next to the description. Zachary began his horror hosting career in 1957 as Roland, host of Shock Theater in Philadelphia. In 1958, he moved to New York City and changed his host name to Zachary. He was wildly popular, and his personal appearances drew thousands. He was the first horror host to use cut-ins, inserting himself into the movie as if he were part of the action, a standard trick for horror hosts thereafter. Zachary was inducted into the Rondo Award Hall of Fame the very first year in 2002. Alright, Fright fans, so that's it, our top 5 TV movie horror host countdown. What do you think? Do you agree with my choices? Disagree with them? Did I leave somebody off? Let me know in the comments down below, and also let me know how you'd rank them and who you'd add. If I left somebody off, who would you add? You know, one thing is definitely certain, no matter what, rankings and all that, that's just for fun. But the important thing is that horror hosts definitely, they work hard. I can attest to that firsthand, and they definitely deserve your support. So if you have a TV movie horror host in your area, definitely give them your support. You know, send them an email, tell them how much you appreciate what they're doing, watch their shows, go see them live if they're doing live appearances, buy their merchandise. You know, all that support helps keep the show rolling and keep it on the air, and sometimes just a kind word or something like that can mean all the difference in the world. Of course, a little money thrown their way doesn't hurt either, so you know, there's always that option. So anyway, until next time, this is Dr. Gangrene, Physician of Fright, coming to you from the web lab here. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. I would appreciate that. And until next time, Dr. Gangrene saying, stay mad. Stay mad!